You've probably heard this before. The Triumph Trident 660 is the perfect beginner bike. Light, friendly, confidence inspiring, and that's the line in almost every review. There's a problem with that. All those reviews are written by experienced riders, journalists, ex-racers, and people that have been riding for years. So here's the question: how do they know when you're new, nervous, and still trying to figure it all out? To find out, I borrowed a mate's Triumph Trident 660 and took it for a proper ride. And by the way, I'm Andy, I'm a new rider. This is a real beginner's experience, not from somebody on a racetrack, but from somebody who's barely got a motorbike license. So this is it, the Triumph Trident 660. It's not brand new, but it's not mine either. It belongs to my mate's wife. It's well looked after, runs well, and still looks far too clean for the likes of me. Now, I've only been riding for a short time, a few bikes, a few sketchy incidents, and a lot of YouTube advice that I barely understand. I'm definitely not pretending to be an expert, but that is the whole point of this. I wasn't worried about riding this bike. I've ridden BMW 900s, Yamaha MT-09s, MT-10s, and even a Morbidelli T1002 VX, which is a new bike, which has double the horsepower than what I thought it had when I was riding it. So when I saw the Trident spec sheet, lower power, lighter weight, I didn't think twice. They say that this is the perfect bike for someone like me. I wanted to find out if it could be somebody's first real bike, something to learn and grow on. Not just a hype, not just a spec sheet, but real experience. I decided I'd ride some quiet country lanes, I warmed the bike up, and I got my focus together, ready for a nice ride. And then came to the first proper corner. The back wheel slipped. I won't ham this up for YouTube, it was nothing dramatic, I didn't go flying, but it was enough to make my stomach drop. It was also enough to make me question, is this bike really as beginner friendly as they say it is? And just like that, the tone of the ride changed. This wasn't just a ride on my mate's bike anymore, it became a question of, who is this bike really made for? On the way to film this, I thought I'd treat myself to a Big Mac. It's the world's best-selling burger. It's quick, it's reliable, it's safe, just like the Trident really. Now, before you start slating me in the comments, I'm not saying that Triumph bikes are like fast food. Not that at all. But I did need something that had an element of three, like the Trident. Now, I could have picked Three Little Pigs or the myth around Anne Boleyn's chest, but I didn't think they were appropriate. The bike's got 3 cylinders, the Big Mac's 3 layers of burger bun, and both of them hold both things together. Everyone knows the Big Mac. Everyone says it's a safe choice on a menu that keeps offering more exciting and more exotic prospects. And let's not get started with the promo photos, they're picture perfect. But we'll come back to that in a little while. Now, the Trident 660, it's not just journalists that are saying that it's a really good beginner's bike. No. Beginners also say it's a really good beginner's bike. New owners on forums, Facebook groups, comment sections, all repeating the same line. Yeah, it's a brilliant first bike. But are they saying it because it really is? Or just because people with more experience than them have told them that it's a really good beginner's bike? When you're new, you assume the people writing reviews must know better, so you repeat what they say. But if you've only ridden one bike, how would you know what forgiving even feels like? But then how many riders want to look capable, but inside they're feeling uncomfortable? They don't want to risk being mocked by the biker community. Trust me. That's what worries me. Not that the Trident is a bad bike, but that new riders might be kidding themselves into thinking it's better suited to them than it actually is. 80 brake horsepower, 64 Newton meters of torque, 189 kilograms weight. On paper, that's manageable. But it doesn't feel tame, it feels sharp. I'd even say it feels twitchy. The clutch bites right at the end, but the engine revs really easily. It does 0 to 60 in around 3.5 seconds. In sports car terms, well, that's a Porsche 911 Carrera. And some reviewers have literally called it a rowdy little hooligan bike that will immediately respond to a throttle dare and hurl you into a thrill ride. The journalists say it's flickable. I say it feels unstable. They say it builds confidence, but I think it really tested mine. And this is the part that they don't talk about in reviews. It's not the spec sheet, it's not the suspension. It's you and me trying to hold it all together. It's our expectation of what the journalists say should be easy to ride. But every corner felt like a test. Every stop-start in traffic, a small panic. I caught myself thinking, don't wheelie it, pulling away from a junction. And that's when I realised that this bike isn't really the beginner's dream that they promised. When the bike doesn't give you forgiveness, it becomes part of the problem. So after the ride, I had a moment to myself and I had to think about what had gone right and what had gone wrong. And this is what hit me. It's not about horsepower. It's about predictability. It's predictability that us beginner riders need. When you're new, you really don't need thrills. What you do need is trust. When you're new, you want a bike that helps you to learn, not one that constantly asks you to be better than what you are. So take my first bike, the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. Not quick by any means, soft clutch, calm throttle, stable, even when I wasn't. I felt like that bike tried to help me. And now, my Kawasaki 650 Versys, the 2010 model, is taller, it's got a bit more poke, but it is forgiving. The Trident's what journalists think beginners want, not what beginners actually need.
Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete.
So the question is, should you buy a Triumph Trident 660 as your first bike? Well, let's have a look at what I bought. Many say it's the best. It's reliable, it's a classic. And let's have a look at it compared to the promo photo. It's not awful, I suppose, but it's definitely not what's in the picture. I suppose I expect this now, but you know, when McDonald's first came to England, it's not really what I expected. And you could argue it's not what I was promised either. And the same goes for the Trident. If you're confident and you're quick to learn, then maybe it's the perfect bike. It's well built, looks amazing, and it's definitely got legs. But if you're still worried about your foot position or whether you're going to stall as you leave McDonald's, then maybe it's not quite the bike for you yet. Because if I'm being honest, out of the few bikes I've tried, there are definitely better options. So yes, it's A2 compliant if you buy the kit, but that in itself doesn't make it beginner friendly. It is fast enough to scare you, and it's sharp enough to punish mistakes. And one weird quirk of it is, it felt like I was doing 100 miles an hour, but when I checked the speedometer, I was only doing 45. And the bike is definitely stiff enough to make your fillings rattle. But there is no doubt that the Triumph Trident 660 is a formidable bike. And Carol, who I borrowed the bike from, she's been riding 13 years, and she's a fast rider, and she's a very capable rider. And this bike is a real good match for her. I suppose if you've got that level of experience, then you can really see just how good this bike is. It feels premium, it's well put together, and it looks amazing. And the one thing that I will take away from riding this bike is that the 3-cylinder engine is velvety smooth. Now, I've ridden 3-cylinder engines before, and like the MT-09 for example, but this engine is different. It's got such a lovely feel to it. So personally, the Triumph Trident 660 taught me a lesson, and that is you've got to look beyond the spec sheet and the reviews. And whenever you approach a new bike, you need to treat each bike on its own merit. Don't think that because it's got a lower horsepower that it's going to be easy to ride. The assumption that the Triumph Trident 660 was a beginner's bike almost cost me the trust of my friends, and that was a mistake. And also, buying the biggest selling burger in the world on the premise that that could also be good was also a mistake. But that's just my experience. What about yours? Did your first big bike scare you or give you confidence? Have you actually tried the Triumph Trident 660? And what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up on the channel, I'll be riding some more bikes that aren't labelled beginner friendly. But this time, I'll approach it with both my eyes open. Thanks for watching. I'm Andy. I'm a brand new rider with expensive taste for bikes that I can't afford, and also quite questionable taste. I'll see you next time.